Welcome to my channel r/shichu/, where everyday annoyances get served with a side of clever payback. Today's story is all about a lunch thief who learned the hard way that stealing someone's food at work can come with some seriously unexpected consequences. Our storyteller just started a new job and quickly realized their carefully packed homemade lunches were mysteriously disappearing from the office fridge. But instead of yelling or causing a scene, they chose a path that's equal parts funny, suspenseful, and delightfully petty. Without giving too much away just yet, let's just say this revenge involved a little creativity, and maybe a little gross-out factor. So buckle up, because what seems like a simple case of stolen food quickly turns into a hilarious showdown that no one in the office will forget anytime soon. I had just started a new job at a busy office downtown. The place was a bit overwhelming at first. New faces, new routines, and the usual first-day jitters, but things were going pretty well. My coworkers seemed friendly enough, and the break room was a nice spot to take a breather during lunch. Being the kind of person who loves to cook, I started bringing homemade lunches every day. I made sure to pack everything neatly in containers with my name clearly written on them. It felt good to have a routine and some tasty food waiting for me at midday. But then, one afternoon, I opened the fridge to find my lunch was gone. At first, I thought maybe someone had accidentally grabbed my container by mistake. After all, there were lots of similar-looking boxes in there. I shrugged it off and grabbed a quick sandwich from the cafe downstairs. The next day, the same thing happened. My lunch disappeared again. By the third day, I was starting to get suspicious. This wasn't just a mix-up anymore. Someone was regularly taking my food and not leaving a trace. It was frustrating and, honestly, a little annoying. Who steals someone's lunch at work? Still, I decided to keep my cool. I wasn't ready to confront anyone just yet. Instead, I started thinking about how to handle this without making a big scene. The lunch theft didn't stop. In fact, it happened again, and then again. Like clockwork. Every few days, my carefully packed meals would vanish from the office fridge, leaving behind only empty containers or sometimes nothing at all. It was as if someone had developed a strange habit of snatching food right under everyone's noses. As the days went by, I started paying closer attention. There was definitely a pattern. The thefts often happened on Mondays and Thursdays. Oddly specific days. Even more bizarre, it seemed that the thief preferred certain meals, especially anything homemade or with a bit of flair, like my famous chicken salad or pasta dishes. Simple sandwiches or store-bought snacks. Those were mostly left untouched. The containers were usually returned. Sometimes just the lids or empty boxes placed back neatly, almost like the thief wanted to be polite without actually asking. But there were never any notes, apologies, or explanations. Just vanished food, empty boxes, and my growing irritation. It wasn't just about the missing lunch anymore. It was the principle. Someone was sneaking into the fridge, helping themselves to my meals, and treating the office kitchen like their personal buffet. The quiet, casual theft was baffling and maddening all at once. Despite the frustration, I kept my cool. I was determined to figure out who was behind this without making a mess, or at least without letting the thief know I was onto them. After missing my lunch several times, I finally decided to take the issue to HR. I thought they would take it seriously and help put an end to the sneaky lunch theft. But instead, I got brushed off. The HR rep told me it was not really their problem unless I caught the thief in the act. They suggested labeling my food more clearly, or maybe bringing less tempting meals. That wasn't much comfort. Feeling stuck, I turned to my coworkers next. I casually brought up the topic around the water cooler and during breaks. Some whispered quietly that the office had a known food thief, someone who had a reputation for borrowing lunches and never returning the favor. It wasn't a secret. People just didn't want to get involved. Then the name-dropping started. A few people mentioned the same guy, an older employee who'd been around forever and had a history of being difficult. The more I heard, the more it made sense. The thief wasn't random. It was someone who knew exactly what they were doing and had done it for a long time. By the time I finished talking with everyone, my frustration had turned into a burning suspicion. It was time to take matters into my own hands. It didn't take long for the main suspect to become clear. Derek. He was that smug, arrogant coworker who seemed to have a permanent smirk plastered on his face. Derek was the kind of guy who loved making weird comments about the shared fridge, jokes about finding new snacks, or how the office lunch game was fierce. I caught him glancing at my lunch more times than I could count. Every time I opened the fridge, he was conveniently nearby, giving me a sideways look like he was trying to size up what I brought in that day. It was obvious he enjoyed the power trip of knowing what was about to disappear. Derek wasn't subtle about it either. Once, I overheard him bragging to a buddy about the free gourmet lunches he scored from the office fridge. His attitude reeked of entitlement and arrogance, like he thought the lunchroom was his personal buffet. After piecing together all these clues, there was no denying it. Derek was the lunch thief, and he was good at making sure no one could catch him in the act. That smug grin of his only fueled my desire for some well-earned revenge. I tried everything to stop Derek from stealing my lunch. First, I left notes on my containers. Polite but firm reminders like, "Please don't touch," or, "This lunch belongs to me." They either went ignored or disappeared with the food. Next, I switched to different containers, thinking maybe the thief only went after my usual Tupperware. I even tried to hide my lunch in obscure spots inside the fridge, but Derek always found it. It felt like he had a sixth sense for sniffing out what was mine. I considered labeling my food with my name, but that didn't work either. The food still vanished without a trace. I even tried bringing less appealing lunches, but it was no use. Derek was bold, determined, and had no shame. With every stolen meal, my frustration grew. I felt powerless in a place where I was supposed to feel comfortable. The office fridge had become a battleground, and I was losing. But little did Derek know. I was cooking up a plan. One that would make sure he regretted ever touching my food. The final straw came when my special lunch disappeared. A dish I had spent hours preparing after work the night before. It wasn't just any meal. It was my favorite comfort food, carefully made to fuel my long day ahead. When I opened the fridge and found the container empty again, something inside me snapped. I realized this wasn't just about a missing sandwich or a quick snack anymore. It was personal. This thief wasn't just stealing food. They were stealing my effort, my time, and my peace of mind. I decided enough was enough. That day, as frustration turned to determination, I began planning a way to get back at the culprit. It wouldn't be cruel, but it would be unforgettable. Derek was about to find out that stealing someone's lunch comes with consequences. After the final straw with my missing special lunch, I knew I had to come up with a plan that would stop the thief once and for all. I decided to create a special decoy lunch, something that looked too good to resist but secretly packed a punch. That evening, I carefully prepared the meal. I started with some ingredients that seemed healthy and fresh. Mixed greens, quinoa, roasted vegetables, and grilled chicken. But to make sure my plan worked, I mixed in a natural laxative powder I bought from the pharmacy. something safe but powerful enough to cause discomfort. Then I added a generous amount of hot sauce, enough to make anyone who ate it feel the burn but not ruin the meal's appearance. The combination was perfect, visually appealing but deceptive. Next, I made a fake label for the container. It read, "Detox Cleanse Lunch Boosts Energy and Promotes Gut Health." I even listed fake ingredients, like organic turmeric, ginger extract, and natural enzymes. This label was designed to catch the thief's attention, especially since our office culture had a few wellness enthusiasts. I carefully packed the meal, making sure it looked fresh and tasty. This was my bait, my chance to get back at the thief while teaching a lesson about respect and boundaries. I placed the container in the shared fridge, right at eye level where it would be impossible to miss. Now, all I had to do was wait and watch. The suspense was killing me. Would Derek take the bait? Would my plan work? Either way, the next lunch hour would be unforgettable. I carefully placed the special lunch right in the shared office fridge, smack in the middle of the top shelf where it was impossible to miss. I acted completely normal, as if nothing unusual was going on. The office hummed with its usual lunchtime chatter, but inside I was quietly excited, waiting for the perfect moment. I chose peak lunch hour, between 12:30 and 1:30 p.m., when everyone usually took their break. That way, the chances of the thief grabbing the bait were highest. I made sure to eat something else at my desk, something uninteresting that wouldn't tempt any lunch thieves. From my seat, I kept a casual eye on the break room and the fridge. I didn't want to make it obvious that I was watching, but I was ready to catch the thief in the act. The tension was building slowly, and every time someone opened the fridge, my heart skipped a beat. Would today be the day? About 20 minutes into lunch hour, Derek, the smug coworker who had been eyeballing my food, walked casually into the break room. He glanced around like he was just grabbing a snack, but I noticed him head straight to the fridge. His eyes locked onto the detox cleanse lunch I had prepared so carefully. He grabbed the container with a confident smirk, as if he owned the place. I could tell he didn't suspect a thing. He didn't even hesitate. Derek went straight to the break room table, peeled back the lid, and started eating quickly like he was in a rush. A few coworkers were scattered around the room. Some shot him curious glances, but no one said anything, either because they didn't know or they didn't want to get involved. The suspense was unbearable. I could almost feel the slow burn of the hot sauce and the impending consequences of the laxatives working their magic. I sat back, pretending to be busy with my laptop, while secretly counting down the moments until the thief would realize he had been outsmarted. This was going to be the best lunch break ever. Not long after Derek finished his special lunch, I noticed a sudden change in him. The confident smirk faded, replaced by a sweaty, uncomfortable look. His forehead glistened with beads of sweat, and he kept shifting in his seat like he was trying to hold something back. Then came the first bathroom trip. He left hurriedly, clutching his stomach. A few minutes later, he was back, looking pale and trying to act normal, but the discomfort was obvious. This pattern repeated multiple times over the next hour. Every time he returned, his face looked more distressed, and the glances he threw around showed panic slowly creeping in. Whispers started among the coworkers. People noticed the frequent bathroom breaks and exchanged curious looks. Some joked quietly, suspecting something was up but not daring to say it outright. Finally, after another hurried exit, Derek didn't return to his desk. His absence was sudden and unexplained. The break room felt oddly quiet without his usual smug presence. Everyone was left wondering what had happened, but no one could quite figure it out. I sat back, feeling a quiet satisfaction. The revenge wasn't just successful, it was perfect. Derek had finally gotten a taste of his own medicine, and it was deliciously petty. The next day, Derek was noticeably absent. Rumors quickly spread through the office about his sudden disappearance, but no one knew the exact details. Some joked that he was detoxing for real this time, and others whispered about the mysterious lunch incident. I kept my expression completely innocent, never revealing a hint of what I had done. To everyone else, it was just another day at the office, but I knew the truth. Justice had been served. The office fridge, once a battleground, was peaceful again. No more missing lunches or stolen snacks. Coworkers seemed more relaxed, and the petty food theft saga finally came to an end. In the quiet calm, I couldn't help but smile. Sometimes the sweetest revenge is the one served cold, or, in this case, with a little extra kick. Sometimes people only learn lessons the hard way, especially when it comes to stealing someone else's food. No amount of notes, hints, or subtle warnings worked on Derek. He needed a taste of his own medicine, and I'm not even sorry about it. If anything, it was long overdue. Next time you think about snatching someone's lunch, remember, sometimes the best seasoning isn't salt or pepper, but a little bit of well-deserved consequences. Trust me, it adds flavor you won't forget. This story is everything I needed today. I mean, who steals someone's carefully prepared lunch and expects no repercussions? The best part? The cleanse label? Genius. I'm bookmarking this for my own petty revenge ideas. Also, can someone make a sitcom about office food thieves? I'd binge watch that in a heartbeat. One commenter shared their own office revenge that made me laugh. They said someone kept stealing their fancy gourmet coffee pods, the kind that cost way too much for an office snack thief. After trying notes and polite reminders, they finally got clever. They started swapping out the pods with decoys filled with instant coffee mixed with a little bit of salt. The thief kept going back for their favorite coffee, only to grimace after every sip. Eventually, the thief stopped stealing altogether, probably convinced the coffee had gone bad. The commenter said it felt like sweet, caffeinated justice served cold. Just goes to show, no matter the food or drink, theft always ends badly for the thief when petty revenge is involved. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Our Petty Revenge. Remember, stealing someone's food might seem harmless, but it can stir up some serious trouble. So next time you're tempted, think twice. Or you might end up on the receiving end of a perfectly crafted revenge plan like this one. Stay tuned for the next story, where things get even crazier. Until then, keep your lunches safe and your petty revenge clever.